very beautiful afternoon. Today is Sunday, the 12th day of October 2025. This is the news hour on TV Sapientia. My name is Somto Okafo. You're welcome. President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja today, Sunday, October 12, 2025, for Rome, the capital of Italy, to participate in the Akaba Process Heads of State and Government level meeting, with special focus on the security crisis in West Africa. According to a statement issued on Saturday by presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga, the meeting, which will begin on October 14, will bring together heads of state and government, senior intelligence and military officials from African countries, and representatives of intergovernmental and non-governmental organizations to discuss the evolving security challenges in West Africa. The Akaba Process meeting is a counter-terrorism initiative launched by King Abdullah II of Jordan in 2015. It is co-chaired by the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan and the Italian government. At the meeting, participants will exchange assessments of the current security landscape in West Africa and foster collaboration between regional and international partners to address cross-border security challenges. Participants will also develop strategies to counter the terror threats on land and the sea. The meeting will discuss ideas on how to coordinate efforts to combat online radicalization and disrupt digital networks that facilitate terrorist propaganda and recruitment. President Tinubu would hold bilateral talks with other leaders to explore ways of addressing the rising security challenges across the sub-region. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has directed deposit money banks and other financial institutions to refund customers for failed automated teller machine ATM transactions within 48 hours in a sweeping reform aimed at protecting consumers and restoring confidence in the banking system. The directive is contained in a draft guideline released by the Apex Bank on Saturday, titled Exposure of the Draft Guidelines on Operations of Automated Teller Machines in Nigeria. The document, signed by Musa Jimo, Director of Payment System Policy Department, was circulated to banks, payment service providers, card schemes, and independent ATM deployers, with a call for stakeholder feedback by October 31, 2025. Under the draft, failed announced transactions where customers use their own bank's ATM must be reversed instantly. If technical glitches prevent immediate reversal, the bank is required to manually refund the customer within 24 hours for not announced transactions involving other banks' ATMs. Reports must be processed within 48 hours. In a significant shift, the CBN mandated banks and ATM acquirers to deploy technology that automatically reverses failed or partial transaction, removing the need for customers to lodge complaints. Institutions holding customer funds due to failed disbursement must reconcile and return balances immediately. According to the Apex Bank, these measures respond to widespread frustration over delayed refunds and poor customer service and form part of a broader effort to enhance consumer protection, improve reliability, and modernize Nigeria's payment infrastructure in line with global standards. Barring any last-minute change in plan, members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, will begin a 2-week warning strike on Monday. This follows the expiration of the 2-week ultimatum they gave the federal government to meet their lingering demands. Despite the ultimatum ending on Sunday, the federal government had yet to issue any public comment on the imminent industrial action. ASU had directed its branches to prepare for a warning strike. The latest standoff between the university lecturers and the federal government comes despite ongoing negotiations aimed at averting another round of industrial action in the nation's tertiary institution. President Bola Tinubu has granted clemency to 175 convicts and former convicts, including notable figures such as the late Major General Maman Vatsa, Major Akubo, Professor Magaji Garba, Mariam Sanda, Ken Saro Wiwa, and other members of the Ogoni Eight. According to a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, on Saturday, the gesture was made on the recommendation of the Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy, chaired by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi San. The committee said the convicts were considered for clemency based on factors such as remorse, good conduct, old age, and rehabilitation through education or vocational training. Some inmates were recognized for their enrollment in the National Open University of Nigeria, NOUN, while others had demonstrated notable behavioral reform. In a significant symbolic move, President Tinubu also approved a posthumous pardon for Sir Herbert Macaulay, correcting what he described as a historic injustice committed against one of the Nigeria's foremost nationalists by British colonial authorities. The committee's report shows that out of the 175 beneficiaries, 2 inmates and 15 former convicts, 11 of whom are deceased, were granted a full pardon. 82 inmates received clemency, while the sentences of 65 inmates were commuted. 7 inmates on death row also had their sentences reduced to life imprisonment. Prince Fagbemi presented the committee's report during the National Council of State meeting, chaired by President Tinubu at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The exercise, he said, aligns with the administration's commitment to justice reform and human correctional management, ensuring that mercy is extended to those who have shown genuine repentance and transformation. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amupitan San, to demonstrate a firm commitment to ending impunity for electoral offences in Nigeria. In a statement signed and released by its Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadari, and made available to newsmen on Sunday, SERAP urged Amupitan to ensure that INEC, under his leadership, would not tolerate electoral crimes. He warned that failure to address the culture of impunity would embolden political actors to continue undermining Nigeria's democracy. Recall it was reported that on Thursday, the National Council of the State unanimously approved the appointment of Amupitan as the new chairman of the INEC. This was contained in a statement posted on X by the President's aide, Bayo Onanuga, on Thursday. President Bola Tinubu presented Amupitan's name to the council during its meeting at the Presidential Villa Abuja on Thursday. The appointment follows the exit of Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who completed his 10-year tenure in October 2025. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has said it will not succumb to pressure despite reports of fresh defections to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, insisting that the opposition remains committed to defending Nigeria's democracy ahead of the 2027 general elections. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Oluwagunaba, who spoke in Abuja, described the spate of the factions as part of a deliberate effort to weaken the opposition and tilt the country towards a one-party state. Oluwagunaba dismissed speculations that the party was losing ground, stressing that the PDP had faced similar challenges in the past and always emerged stronger. Recent reports suggest that Governors Peter Mba of Enugu State and Duyodiri of the Bayelsa State are considering leaving the PDP, which has unsettled party ranks. However, neither has confirmed any intention to defect. The speculation has fueled concerns within the opposition, prompting a renewed focus on unity and internal discipline. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors and the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, NMCN, has reiterated calls for hospitals to treat gunshot victims immediately without requesting police reports. Both organizations issued the reminder during interviews with the News Agency of Nigeria on Sunday in Abuja, following recurring reports of hospital neglecting gunshot victims in emergencies. NAN reports that a compulsory treatment and care for victims of gunshot wounds, signed into law in 2017, mandates prompt treatment by all hospitals, public or private, without requiring police documentation. Section 7 of the Act states that any person or authority whose omission leads to unnecessary death of a gunshot victim may face 5 years imprisonment, a 500,000 naira fine, or both. The Nigeria Police Force on Saturday paraded the 12 suspects arrested in connection with the armed robbery and killing of Somtochukwu Maduago, a journalist with Arise News, and Barnabas Danlami, a security guard, during a violent attack at Unique Apartments, Katampe Extension, Abuja on September 29, 2025. Speaking at a press briefing on Saturday at the FCT Police Command Headquarters, Gariki, Abuja, the Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Benjamin Hundein, said the arrest followed a coordinated intelligence-driven investigation launched immediately after the incident. Recovered exhibits include one locally fabricated AK-47 rifle, one locally made pistol, one pop-action gun, 36 live rounds of 9mm ammunition, 2 live cartridges, 4 mobile phones, 2 sharp knives, 1 cutlass, and 2 flashlights. According to police investigations, the fatal shot that killed the security guard, Mr. Danlami, was fired by one of the suspects, Shasuddin Hassan, after the guard reportedly attempted to prevent the gang from gaining access to the apartment complex. The first spokesperson further disclosed that the suspects sourced their weapons from a supplier in Niger Republic and had been involved in other armed robbery operations across Katampe and other parts of the Federal Capital Territory. While expressing condolences to the families and colleagues of the deceased victims, the Force PRO reaffirmed the police commitment to ensuring justice. Now on the sports news. The Super Eagles of Nigeria have arrived in Uyo, Akwa Ibom, after an unexpected mid-air scare forced their chartered flight to make an emergency return to Angola on Saturday. The Super Eagles team touched down safely at the Victor Atta International Airport, Uyo, at about 8:05 a.m. this morning. It was earlier reported that the Super Eagles escaped tragedy yesterday at the aircraft, which was bringing them back home from Polokwane, South Africa, after their match against Lesotho to Uyo for their final World Cup qualifier, had to make an emergency landing in Luanda, Angola. According to the NFF, the ValueJet airline plane conveying the team from Polokwane, South Africa to Uyo for Tuesday's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Benin Republic developed a cracked windscreen mid-air after taking off from a refueling stop in Luanda, Angola. The pilot, acting swiftly and professionally, safely returned the aircraft to the Luanda airport, averting any danger. The NFF assured fans and stakeholders that ValueJet and relevant federal authorities, including the Minister of Aviation and Foreign Affairs, as well as the Chief of Staff to the President, are working urgently to secure overflying and landing permits for a replacement aircraft. And lastly, on the foreign news, voting began today, Sunday, as Cameroon holds presidential elections, which 92-year-old Paul Biya, the world's oldest 7 head of state, is expected to win, extending his already 43-year grip on power. Biya faces 11 opponents, including former Employment Minister Issa Cherioma Bakari, 79, who has generated unexpected enthusiasm among voters in the Central African nation, where half the population is under 20. Polling stations opened around 8 a.m. and will close at 6 p.m. The 8 million Cameroonians who are eligible to vote in the one-round election have for the most part only known one ruler in their lifetime. Biya has been in power since 1982 and has won every election in the past 20 years by more than 70% of the ballots. Alright, that was the news hour on TV Sapientia. On behalf of the editorial and technical crew, my name is Somto Okafo. Good afternoon once again, and thank you for choosing TV Sapientia. Have a wonderful Sunday.